World revamp confirmed. These zones updated soon. World Soul Saga. Yeah, Doran's not actually, he's being a real truth teller here because it was already confirmed by Chris Metzen at BlizzCon that we are going to get a revamp of the Elven areas, the Silver Moon and all that. Those areas are going to be revamped in the next expansion, the Midnight one. And then in the final one, we're going back to Northrend, which will probably mean a Northrend revamp. I think these delves and everything that's been announced are part of revamping Azeroth because they're going to give us content to do in all these new zones. But let's see what Doran has to say about this. Yes, Doran the Truth.
So we got some really good news and also some bad news at the same time. The world revamp is definitely happening.
It's happening.
But not as a huge makeover of Azeroth as they just confirmed in a post-BlizzCon interview, but we will be getting gradual changes over time. So expect changes
Probably,
to Quel'Thalas with a new Silver Moon actually confirmed in the interview. Stormguard, Gilneas, the Plaguelands finally getting fixed. Southern part of Kalimdor is due for a big update as well. Northrend will almost certainly receive some sort of an update, as well as potentially Orgrimmar and Stormwind, together with Gnomeregan later down the line. So, what are all these news? Let's cover everything we currently know and what zones will be getting revamped across Azeroth. If you want to get Dragonflight or anything else warcraft related, Gamio has some excellent deals that you
I didn't know that. Gnomeregan's gonna get. We're gonna finally gonna get rid of the leper elves or the leper gnomes. That's wild. Use code Doran, guys. Use code Doran. There you go.
Below and grab some amazing deals at Gamivo. So honestly, I feel like I made the most amount of world revamp videos out of everyone, and usually it was with some mostly speculation, but now we know that it will be happening and sort of how it will be going through. Now, you might remember a few months back we got the official Blizzard interview where they all but confirmed the world revamp is happening in 2024. They said they're very seriously considering it. Something will be happening, but now on BlizzCon and post-BlizzCon, we actually got interviews on how it might actually be happening.
That's right.
To burst your bubble immediately, a huge world revamp won't be happening, so don't expect a BlizzCon announcement where they announce like 40 zones.
I don't think they're gonna do like a full-blown we've revamped the world now and patch whatever or something, or this expansion, but I do think that it's gonna happen gradually. And like I said, we're probably gonna get like the Silver Moon area, all that shit revamped, then a Northrend revamp, and they're slowly going to work through all the zones. And as they do, we're going to get delves in those zones and other content to be able to go to them, because there's no point in revamping shit if you're not going to have a reason to go there, other than just look at the new tree that's, made of 20 polygons instead of 3. That doesn't make sense. But the delve system is going to give you tons of reasons to go to a lot of old zones in Azeroth.
Will get completely updated, and honestly, I mean, when you think about it, it is kind of unrealistic because, how they actually do it. No one really expected something like that would happen, especially with the recent hints we had gotten these past few months, as it was pretty evident that it is going to be happening gradually. These past 2-3 years, we have data mined
some of these assets look so good.
New models, new player skeletons, new updates, new customizations. Pretty much every single patch, every single mini patch, they're updating something, they're creating some sort of new models, so they're constantly updating the graphics and bringing it back to the present day to actually look modern. Now, this trend will 100% continue with some zones getting a full-scale update, and we actually now have an idea what Azeroth is going to look like in the next few years. In the most recent post-BlizzCon interview, they gave us like actual evidence on how this will happen, and they essentially just told us, don't expect the Cataclysm revamp, it won't be happening. And honestly, I mean, that makes sense. It is sort of an impossible task at this point with the current level of details, with how many zones exist, and it doesn't really make all that much sense. I mean, with Cataclysm, it made sense because we went to these zones, like all these zones rebuilt.
I mean, obviously, you're gonna revamp as you go, right? As zones become important.
To this realm.
Dead. Thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to our Scourge. Yeah, it makes sense that as you go, as zones become relevant and important, they get revamped. What I want to see, though, is more and more zones becoming relevant and important. I don't want to have, islands of Warcraft anymore. It's fine right now. We're going to go to our new underground zone and shit like that. That's fine. We're not really adding an entirely new island. It's going to be off the coast of Pandaria. That's whatever. But I do want to see them making more zones more important, which is what they're going to do. In Midnight, essentially, we're getting the entirety of that Quel'Thalas area and everything revamped and becomes important. And then Northrend in the final, the last Titan expansion. So that's cool, and I hope they continue to do that. And as they do, they'll revamp zones. It makes sense.
All these new quest lines and everything was happening in these zones, but if they wanted to update everything, like these
Okay, we'll
zones
check
would
it
need to
out,
be relevant. I
Panda.
mean, they're not just going to do like a 40 zone revamp just so that we can, you know, level through those zones, and you could even level in like 15 different ways, so they wouldn't even be leveling. I mean, it is way too much work for nothing to actually happen, so obviously it has to be relevant to the storyline that is going to happen within the next 3 expansions. To boil it down completely, this is exactly what they told us. Remember how they revamped Darkshore, like they specifically mentioned Darkshore? We are going to get revamped zones in that manner. So
that makes sense.
Darkshore was relevant to the BFA. Essentially, it was updated to be relevant to the current storyline. You can also expect things to happen similar to the updates Under the City got. So, as you may remember, Under the City used to look really bad. Then, just this upper part of the city was actually updated, but most of Tirisfal actually still looks the same. I mean, it's not like they updated every single piece of grass and every tree. Some parts of the zone are
I
still
do hope eventually we get a return of Lordaeron. I do. I hope that the whether they do it through what's it called? That it's an undead city or it's a hub city or something. But I hope the undead, you know, they have more pride now. Maybe they're going to come out from underground and finally rebuild Lordaeron. Obviously, Calia Menethil would have reasons to want to do that. That's her old home city. I hope that they create a reason for it, and then they do it, because I would love to go back to Lordaeron. What an amazing lore moment that would be.
back in time, but some were updated, so we could be getting things like that as well. Essentially, the updates will be local, they will be relevant to the current storylines that will be happening within the next 3 expansions, and seeing that we already have an outline for the next 3 expansions, we can kinda guess with pretty decent precision what zones will be getting updated. Best news so far is that we know Silver Moon will 100% be getting updated to the current standard. I know, not a huge shocker. I mean, we know WoW Midnight is going to be based in Quarter, so obviously that makes sense, but this is something that I've been talking for stuck in time. So let us actually look at what areas will get updated, and let's kind of list them down based on what will almost certainly get updated to some that might potentially, but we can't really say so. So let's look at the zones. So first of all, expect pretty big changes to the northern Eastern Kingdoms, like that upper part of Eastern Kingdoms. I mean, this is so obvious with WoW Midnight, the Quarter updates, but it's not just Quarter. The city to be fixed, and the surrounding areas should get fixed as well. And also with that little bit of Quarter that is sort of close to the Plaguelands should actually become a fully fledged part of Quarter.
Still can't fly in that whole zone.
Together with Quarter, we might actually be getting some Forest Trolls Amani updates, which could potentially also signal an allied race. Together with this will almost certainly draw us into an updated Gilneas. They have been hinting at this for years with Gen, with
Gilneas is such a cool city.
So something should definitely be happening on that front as well.
I would love to see a Gilneas that you can actually go to and do stuff in as a hub city. It's a beautiful city.
We should 100% expect changes to Stromgarde. As I said in multiple videos, Stromgarde is essentially a fully functioning city of the Alliance. It is only currently stuck in time with BFA, so it actually works. And also, we got those rapid...
Yeah, again, I'll say it. These sets are amazing. These sets are amazing, and I hope they make them playable in game. These guys are actually Arathi humans by lore.
Humans in the new zone.
The lore of these guys is really cool.
Connecting with them. They also confirmed this in an interview, so we could get a storyline with that of them coming back home, so that could lead us into a new Alliance city, which could be Stromgarde. Together with these, seeing that we have removed the Scarlet Crusade, we have also removed the Scourge at the end of Shadowlands, we should expect big changes to Tirisfal Glades, as well as big changes to pretty much all the undead areas. However, we should finally, after all this time, expect big changes to the Plaguelands, which is something that all of you guys know. We've been fixing this zone pretty much since Pratt. So finally, after all this time, we should have finally fixed it, and we could be expecting Plaguelands to actually look like Lordaeron and to no longer be Plaguelands. Now, other than this, what I'm also definitely expecting, we should be seeing some pretty big changes to that entire southern part of Kalimdor. You know, Tanaris, where the sword is, and Silithus, and most importantly...
Yeah, I could imagine seeing an update to Silithus considering the sword is going to be another big thing in the expansion again. It's no longer what sword, it's this sword, and Silithus should be getting some type of upgrade.
And most importantly, we got all
I mean, even though it kind of did already, right? Maybe there's going to be new NPCs and new quests and stuff.
The sword may be getting removed, you know, the Titans are definitely going to come back, so the Titan facilities may be relevant. So we could be expecting this entire Titan part, southern part of Kalimdor to get updated to the current standards as well. While, of course, we're talking about the Titans, we know that the new continent in the last last expansion, the last Titan, will be Northrend, so you can definitely expect a huge revamp to Northrend.
Yeah.
Now, they specifically said we'll be going
Awesome
to
to go back to
Oldvar,
Northrend.
but, you know, they might update some zones, but honestly, seeing that the entire expansion is going to be based in Northrend, honestly, I'm expecting a pretty big change to the entire area, so we might be reconnecting with those Nerubians that could be relevant to these guys that are currently going to happen within the War Within. We could be seeing what happened to the Vrykul, and honestly, we could definitely be in for a huge
Vrykul playable
revamp of the entire continent.
That's
of
been one
North.
people have asked for.
Other than this, I mean, it is pretty obvious that the entire storyline of this expansion is going to be about Troll and Anduin. They're obviously pointing out in the interview.
I thought he said Thrall. They're trolls. Yeah, Thrall and Anduin, that's right.
The cinematics that they have been kind of out of the game for a while. They haven't been leading the factions, so it is very likely Anduin could be returning to be king. Thrall could be returning to be a lot more important within the Horde.
Yeah, Thrall's going to be for
which
sure.
could prompt us into an Orgrimmar and Stormwind update. Honestly, I mean, these are two major cities.
I don't know, though. They kind of did get updated recently. I can't imagine them doing it again. I feel like their time would be better spent somewhere else. Like maybe like revamping, you know, into Lordaeron, you know, Undercity into Lordaeron, or giving Gilneas a revamp where it becomes playable. I can't imagine them doing it to Stormwind and Orgrimmar.
It really looks so stuck in time. I mean, it kind of looks ridiculous when you compare it to Suramar or pretty much anything new they had recently done. So we could actually be
Suramar being playable would be cool.
Stormwind and Orgrimmar in the very near future. Other than this, of course, we got
Feels fine. Feels fine. We're going to be fine.
all this new Earthen lore, we got all this new Dwarf lore, so that could naturally prompt us to get an updated Ironforge and Gnomeregan. Now, in regards to Ironforge, like we have actually been getting updates. Some siege engines were updated, the Ironforge guards
Oh yeah,
were
that's
actually
true.
updated.
I forgot about
But
that. The
when it
guards
comes
were
to
updated.
Gnomeregan, like we need to get this place updated. It has been stuck in time for the past 15 years. Seeing that the Void Invasion will be happening in Quel'Thalas in the Eastern Kingdoms, maybe a part of the Void Invasion also happens in
Well, there's going to be a
Gnomeregan,
point,
which
King
could
Julian.
kind
There's
of
going to be
the
lore
storyline
behind
we
it.
would need for the gnomes to finally, after all this time, actually get their home back. Other than this, depending on where the content leads us, we could be getting a few more isolated zones updated to the current standard as well. I mean, we got 3 new expansions, so it is so hard to speculate what could happen in the next like 6-7 years potentially, but we should be going to some new zones. I mean, keep in mind, we already kind of know where the setting will be. Most of these 3 expansions will be on the old world, so we will be going to the places that already exist. Most likely we won't get a lot of new zones, so something could definitely prompt them to also update.
That's probably part of the reason why they're going to be able to come out. You know, they already confirmed that these expansions are going to hit faster than usual. It's not going to be over 6 years. We're going to get these quicker, probably 1.5 to a year each expansion. And not making new zones probably allows them to do that, because that takes a lot of dev time.
These old
revamping is probably easier than creating an entirely
they
new
also
zone.
update things in every single patch, so some of these patches could be perfect opportunities to get some
You
more
want the new
parts
shit,
of the world revamp, and over the time, eventually,
Well, it'll look new.
should get a huge revamp. It just won't happen overnight. It will probably happen over the next like 5 or 6 years. Thank you for watching. Check out the latest cinematic, my analysis on it and what you probably missed, and also check out my video on ancient Greeks in Spain. I actually recorded this on an archaeological site, which took so much time to make by also clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Awesome. I love that Doran's doing some other videos too. This is great. Another great video. Less speculative than usual. Yeah, I think the one thing he kind of really pushed on speculation was the Orgrimmar Stormwind revamps, just because Anduin and Thrall are going to be important. I think we've already gotten the revamps of those cities. I imagine them putting their time into other shit if they're going to really revamp stuff out. But the revamp is coming. It has been confirmed. It just won't be like an all-at-once thing, but we already know Silvermoon, happening. Northrend, most likely happening. Plague lands, all that stuff around, so yep, happening. So that's good. It's good to see, and I hope we continue to see revamping happening across Azeroth, along with Delphs. Good stuff.